Candle burn and do my will, so send despair away to chill. Welcome to this ritual. If you're struggling with despair or some other life force sucking emotion, perhaps depression or an existential futility of some kind, well, we're gonna work on that. I'm Cypress. Welcome back to the wild. If you missed part 1, here's the skinny. Despair has managed to sneak its way into my life. I think it escaped my notice by clinging under the skirt hems of grief. And grief has really made herself at home in my life. Now, we all know, I'm sure, that grief is a part of life and a process we must learn to find our way through. But despair is not welcome here, and I cannot afford to wallow. So, we're gonna banish it. As we get underway, I want you to remember that all ingredients, tools, and incantations for this process are adjustable to fit your needs. Cast the way that resonates for you. Hi. Timing can be important. I'm performing this ritual right after the vernal equinox, which is the moment we shift out of the dark half of the year into the increasing light. I think this is auspicious, but you shouldn't have to wait until the next spring equinox. I think any new moon would offer the same energy of passing from a dark period into a growing light. In planning, the first thing to sort out is to really define what are you banishing. I think this should be obvious, but maybe you're dealing with something you haven't gotten your head around yet. They say in Hunter Safety class that you have to be able to confirm what's in your sights before you pull the trigger. I think it's the same here. The better you can visualize what it is you need to banish, the better and safer. Now, this part is really key for me. The next thing to define is what is most meaningful in your life. After the ravages of despair, what do you have left? It's okay if it feels almost insignificant. The harder these bits are to find and to feel good about, the more critically we need this ritual. I'm calling the little bitty remnants of remaining meaning in my life grains of sand. It's a reference from the Neverending Story, and I covered this metaphor at length in part 1. I'd recommend watching that video for details on defining your own grains of sand. Personally, I found 5. They are my cats, my friends, thrift shopping, creativity, and magic. Whatever your grains of sand are will depend on what you have in your life that gives you meaning. For the ritual, it'll help to collect small objects that symbolize your sand grains, or to write your sand grains down on scraps of paper to have something to visually focus on. Next, we mix the potions. This ritual requires banishing oil and fairy godmother dust and fairy godmother oil. To make the banishing oil, simply mix banishing powder with an oil. I've still got plenty of banishing oil from a banishing spell I worked 2 years ago, but I'll include the recipe for the banishing powder here. 13 herbs and elements, all excel at banishments. Stir the pot, seal the deal, clear it all so things can heal. Next, we need some fairy godmother dust. So this is my own invention. I wanted a potion for nurturing, expanding, and multiplying that which feels good and meaningful in life. After an extensive 30-second Google search, I could find nothing that really fit the bill. There are recipes for love, health, healing, money, abundance, but not for fertilizing personal grains of sand left over from a raging case of the nothing. I decided to go rogue and select 5 herbs that I have an emotional connection with and that align with my purposes for this ritual. I'll explain what I chose and why so you can decide what you want to include in your godmother powder. First, cinnamon. It has a lot of heat, very potent, and I associate it with holiday baking. What's more meaningful than childhood memories of the magic of Christmas and eating homemade cinnamon rolls? Along the same lines, I chose clove. Ginger snaps, gingerbread, pumpkin pies. Even more than cinnamon, it's a spice of the kinds of baked goods that always held magic and ritual and love. The scent of it fills the air, and the whole kitchen becomes an idyllic place. These two spices are linked to some of my rare, best childhood memories. And then I chose spearmint. My time spent with my grandmother helped me define who I am, and to me, the smell of spearmint is inextricably linked with her, as she always had Wrigley's gum. Every once in a while, she'd even let me have some. Next, cumin. Yeah, it feels a little out of place, doesn't it? But cumin is something I've discovered as an adult, and I end up putting it in everything. There's something about this seasoning for me that just makes everything tastier and gives food's flavor more dimension. So it might not work for culinary purposes in a medley with baking spices, but it's a great herb for reminding me how to add needed flavor to my life. So it goes in the mix. Finally, lavender. My favorite herbal tea is lavender tulsi. Hard to find unless I order it in bulk online, but the smell of lavender just resonates with something deep inside of me. It anchors me to a content place in my soul that has to have come from some other lifetime. It's like sitting inside a weighted blanket, or perhaps getting a hug from something bigger than a house cat. So, all of that is to say, select herbs for your fairy godmother dust that amplify meaningful parts of yourself. I envision it kind of like in Cinderella, where everything the fairy godmother touches is exaggerated and made better. The pumpkin becomes a fancy coach, the dog a dapper footman, and so on. As you mix your powders together, it may help to chant 5 bright herbs that feed the light, grow my world a better plight. To make the fairy godmother oil, simply add some, not all, of the powder to an oil. I'm using olive oil. 5 bright herbs that feed the light, grow my world a better plight. Now all we have left to do is assemble our tools and dress the altar. We'll need an altar, of course, and either sage or some incense, something to smudge the space, a wand to set the circle. 2 candles with holders. I'm using a black chime candle for banishing and a white chime candle for growing my grains of sand. I'm placing the black candle on a banishing mirror. I already have one, so why not? But this is optional. Each candle is carved with an appropriate symbol for banishing and blessing, respectively. Wine or tea or some ceremonial beverage will serve to consecrate the ritual. So, of course, we'll need a decorative chalice. Have the ritual oils ready for anointing the candles, and have the fairy godmother powder ready to sprinkle into that wine. Place by the white candle your objects or scraps of paper symbolizing those sand grains or those meaningful elements in your life. Include a bell, chime, or singing bowl near the black candle. This will help close the door after despair is shoved out of it. Of course, have a wine opener and ritual matches handy, and somewhere to dispose of the matches. When all is ready, we begin. First, cleanse the space as you do for any spiritual work. Then, draw the circle. Now, center, ground, connect with spirit. Call in helpers here if you want. My general preference is to call in deities or guides for issues external to my person, but to handle it myself if it's something internal. This is possibly a toxic trait. Nobody wants to deal with my emotions, so I don't call for help. So do what works for you. When you're ready, Anoint the candles. You could do this ahead of the ritual, but I just feel like getting an extra oomph from doing it in an activated, sacred ritual space. My black candle is carved with a banishing symbol, and I bathe it with banishing oil. Tincture true, be swift, be sure, dispel despair, and be my cure. And the white candle is carved with an abundance or life-affirming symbol. I douse it with godmother oil. Spice of life and all good things, nurture joy and all that brings. With the altar set, get into the headspace of visualizing or conceptualizing your despair or your negative emotions that need to go. Of course, be careful not to get so into it that you start feeling the negativity. Keep it separate from you. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right? Now, hold the idea of it, the despair, the depression in your mind while you light the black candle. Candle burn and do my will, so send despair away to chill. Now, kick despair out. I've elected for 5 stanzas as a sort of balance to my 5 grains of sand on the other side of the altar. As you chant, visualize your despair or negative feelings gathering in front of you from every dark corner and dusty shadow of your home, coalescing, materializing before you, and heeding your command. Repeat it all as many times as you need to really feel it taking hold. Despair, I call thy name. Despair, I summon thee. Cease lurking in the shadows. Stand here to heed and face me. Of nature though thou be, it's not my time to dance, and thou must bugger hence, return to thine own lands. Despair, you give up easily, so now give up on me. Release me to the fairer fate of mindful destiny. Away, begone, and get thee out. With haste pick up thy feet, and get thee well away from me. Haunt no one else's street. Fear thee out, apart be gone. Let go thy hollow grasp. Despair, thou sneaky hopeless thing. Retreat, dissolve at this bowl's ring. The clear, loud, ringing tone is a great punctuation mark on your command and helps energetically demarcate what has come from what is about to happen. With all negativity sent well and truly packing, turn your attention to the white candle and imagine it's an emissary to take your wish into the universe. You are blessing your life with magnification of everything meaningful. As you hold an awareness of each of your sand grains, light the candle. Flame in the dark, ignite my soul, expand my life and make me whole. Each in turn, hold up your items or scraps of paper. Imagine nurturing your relationship with what each item represents as you chant. I love my cats, and they love me. An interspecies family. May this bond now strengthened be, to live and play in harmony. Repeat each stanza until you feel it really set in. Alternatively, if you're using paper, you could burn each one as you chant to send your wishes into the ether. But if you do that, be sure to have a fire-safe dish ready. Burning your fingers just isn't the vibe we want here. Friends of mine who keep it real, close or not, you are the deal. Friendships deepen, mote it be, strengthen our fraternity. With thrift, I draw the objects from every walk of life. With ease, I find the bargains, as butter through the knife. Creative power, work thy will. A vessel I can be. So let creation come through me, and may it never still. Magic do as magic does, and keep me with thee just because. The power circles in the air, and I will handle it with care. Sit with this happy vibe of magnifying all your best things. Pour the wine and sprinkle a little godmother dust into it. Herbs of peace and herbs of love, grant me what I'm grateful of. For as long as feels right, sip the wine and hold your sand grains in your heart, perhaps repeating all 5 stanzas again while sipping. Express gratitude to your gods, guides, or just in general. When it is time, close the ritual as is your custom. I like to keep the circle intact until the candles burn all the way down. Now, I don't feel that rejecting despair is a one and done kind of thing. I think it takes a long time for despair or other insidious emotions to find their way in, and likewise, I don't feel that one night's ritual is a true cure-all, no matter how powerful it is and how much you feel it resonating. Like building a muscle, it takes repetition over time to train the strength, and in that spirit, I will repeat this ritual every week for 13 months. You may not need that long. Once may be enough for what you're dealing with, or perhaps 3 weeks. Use your best judgment. I have found that keeping a ritual fresh for an entire year permanently changes my energy field, and I think this is a big enough deal for me to make the commitment over time. I may find after a while that I don't need to keep banishing despair, and I'll just repeat the blessing on the sand grains. I'll go by feel on this one. But I think it's important for me to stay vigilant on nurturing what I do have left that's meaningful to me. I will keep a log every week and make sure I'm doing something to actively nurture meaning. I'll reach out to my friends. I'll play with my cats more. I'll allow myself time for thrifting and creative projects, and I'll incorporate more magic into things. Keeping the log will hold me to task. And because I'm doing this for a full year, I made sure I had enough of both colors of chime candles to see this through. I like the continuity of them all being set apart for this process right from the beginning. If you have ashes to dispose of, I suggest burying them in the dirt, because that way you're planting them into the womb of the earth to regrow. And that completes the spell. Wild Things, I can't thank you enough for joining me in this ritual. I really feel that the shared experience makes for a more potent result. And if you've found anything here that you can use in your own craft, I am honored. Love and light and blessed be. Until the next video, keep your magic wild. Oh my god, what did I do? Is to say, select not cars going by. I'm sorry, am I making too much noise, baby? Jeez, I can't get a hold of this thing. What are you doing?